where we design community organizations that are regenerative. That means they're good for people, planet, and profit. And I'm here with Isaiah Urth. I'm Jacki Saorsail. We are here to talk about Isaiah Urth's organization, Earthkind, that is doing urban gardening projects in Los Angeles and other places around the world. And he's designing this to be able to engage the community and to provide food to historically underserved communities and engage them in the process of growing their own food. Food sovereignty is kind of the buzzword that we're using for that process at this point. And you can see a full description of his project underneath him there in his bio. And then underneath me, you can see my Regenerative Enterprise Design workbook. So I am going through this workbook with him, asking him questions, filling out the answers, and helping him design this organization. And then I'm using that information. I'm going to put it into a little business model canvas that's like a summary. It's like a business plan summary, and give that to him to use to recruit new people to help and to use as a tool to organize everyone around a shared purpose and to make sure everyone understands what's going on, and to constantly update that as a living document throughout the life of the organization so that everyone's on the same page as to what they're doing and how. So that's what we're doing here today. Right now, we're at an interesting point in the conversation, but before we get into that, let's do a little check-in. Isaiah, how are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Thank you. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Been working on my master's degree, and so doing a lot of that, not having a lot of time to dedicate to growing the audience for this, but I am fine with that at the moment. I think that I need to explain what this is better. I need to work on that. So I need to play with the wording of how I introduce it. I need to make some more content that's just explaining what it is, and make some more educational content about regenerative enterprises and all of that sort of thing. So I'm going to be starting on that as soon as I finish writing this master's degree in a couple of months here. So that's what I've been thinking about.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot on your plate.
Yeah. And if people want to support me in what I'm doing and kind of follow along with this journey, you can join my Patreon page. There's a link down below. That'd be great. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so far, to catch everybody up, we've been going through this workbook, and we had a little intro session where we just talked about the general idea of your business. Then we defined your purpose and vision. Then we defined who your customers are and your value proposition, although now in the conversation it looks like we're looking at some new things that we hadn't talked about before at that point. And we talked about your market and how you're going to deliver products and services to customers. And now we're on this financial goals section, and when we got to this section, we realized that you weren't really clear on exactly where you were going to start and what you were going to do first, and so it was really hard to come up with numbers of the money that you needed to start. So the idea came up of you growing microgreens in your house and possibly mushrooms, and we both got really excited about that. So the last couple sessions we've just been kind of geeking out, trying to come up with a plan on what you could grow in your house and how you could get that started to be generating an income for yourself and to have the opportunity for other people to get involved and help you just in a small scale thing that could then expand. And you'd be doing other things too, because you do have some outdoor growing spaces, but the idea that if you could come up with kind of a sustainable income generating product, and also that would provide you with like a constant flow of products that you could sell, and so you would be setting up a market, whether you're doing farmers markets or going through a distributor or whatever. You'd be setting that up so that when you do have products coming from an outdoor garden, it would be easy to just add them to that delivery method. And so we've just been talking through that, and I also want to name that we're at a part in the process. We're about halfway through the entire process, and something that I didn't fully explain early on is that really where my zone of genius is and what I do best is in designing systems for organizations. And so most of what I've been doing so far is like business coaching, but that's not really my main thing. Like, I have figured out that I have to do some coaching to figure out where somebody's at, to help them get clear on what they want before I start giving them a bunch of advice. But what I actually want to do is give you advice. I actually want to say, hey, I think you should do this. What do you think? And then have you, say yes or no, and like really tweak it until we come up with a system that works. And that's a lot more me giving advice than me asking you questions and expecting you to come up with the answers. That's just what we've been doing so far. So I want to switch gears a little bit more here and do more of me making suggestions and bouncing them off of you, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love ideas.
Cool.
Love ideas.
Thanks. Yeah. And so let's go ahead and just get a kind of update on where you're at with this idea. What have you been thinking about since last time, and what have you done since last time?
Basically, I've ordered, everything we need, and the soil is just waiting to, it's a lot closer now, which took a lot of work, because of not just because of the distance, but the fact that we had to work with the gravity, going up the stairs and stuff. So all that's in place, and I'm actually going to amend it a little bit and add some like organic inputs to it to bring it up to a good nutrient level. And my idea, I wanted to experiment to see how, if it affects taste by using something that's more charged with nutrients, and then using something that's just a sterile, like compost medium. So that was kind of the idea, is one rack will use the standard soil, and then the other rack will use like more of a super kind of soil.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and you're putting these in racks to grow microgreens.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yes.
So I'm just waiting on all the lighting and the all that stuff that was ordered to show up.
Yeah, and last time you ordered some things. Yeah, I just went down to where we had written down the prices for the things, which isn't maybe accurate. I still need you to send me numbers on what you've actually spent up to this point, so I can get them accurate in here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I can send it.
Yeah, cool. I just have estimates written down. So,
Okay.
So yeah, you're starting to grow microgreens, and then we had talked about doing an experiment with mushrooms. Did you get any stuff for that?
So yeah, I have all the brown rice. I have the buckets. I just need the spores. So I'm waiting on the spores. I actually ordered some of those I just used Etsy. And I did the oyster, and I think it was reishi. Oyster and reishi, yeah. Yeah, but we mentioned a few others, I think.
Yeah, lion's mane, Agaricus blazei, maitake.
CI. Okay, cool. Yeah, I want to write those down, because I think I'm just going to order those as well.
Sure. Cool. Yeah, and for the audience, the idea there was to grow mycelium on rice, and then try dehydrating that to just eat the mycelium on the rice. And he could also, use that rice to inoculate other substrate to grow the mushrooms out to fruiting. But I just had this idea about, maybe just growing the mycelium as food instead of going through all the trouble of fruiting it. So we'll try some of both and see how it works. So yeah, we were talking about that. And so yeah, I'm kind of thinking maybe we should keep going through the questions. However, I kind of want to skip ahead a little bit. I kind of want to start talking about structure, organizational structure, because I feel like that piece of how you're going to integrate other people into this is important to understand, maybe, because if you're going to do a membership model, for example, we need to know how much you're going to be charging people. So we need to know what kind of membership it is. Does that make sense? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like we need to skip ahead and start talking about organizational structure a little bit before we keep talking about numbers and the
Mm-hmm.
math. So yeah, we had talked about doing some sort of CSA. Earthkind is a nonprofit that you already have. You have that incorporated as a nonprofit, right? But not a 501.
Right, right.
Okay.
Yeah, still going through the getting the 501 all filled out and stuff.
Yeah, but you have it
Yeah.
incorporated, so you could get a bank account with it.
Oh yeah, that's already done.
Awesome.
Yeah, I got that set up.
So you
I've
have a
just
bank
tried to
account.
do. Yeah. I
Okay.
just have to work on what I can,
Yeah.
until that kicks in.
Yeah, with a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was also like an idea we were talking about possibly doing a for-profit aspect of this whole
Mm-hmm.
scheme. Um, because some people might be working for this full time and producing products and selling them. And, I mean, you can do that through a nonprofit. All of the profits of that would be going to your educational programs, though. It would be going to building it out in some way. It wouldn't be going back to the people who, are doing the work. They wouldn't have that kind of incentive of earning profits off of their work, which might be fine. I mean, profits, especially in like a food business, maybe the profits aren't very big. Maybe there's not that much to worry about, and maybe you do just want to keep feeding it back into building it out, building out the organization and doing more and more and more. And that's fine, and that makes total sense. um, I think more than that, it's the sense of ownership that I feel like is important, because growing food is hard. It's a lot of work. Keeping an operation going when things get hard, when you start running out of money, running out of resources, when the electricity goes out and everything dies, like things get tough. And what's the incentive for people to show up and put in 110% or 120%? What's the incentive for people to go above and beyond when it's not theirs? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've gotten that question before a couple of times, a few times even about, when looking for um, people to join advisory boards or boards of directors kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really, in essence, what people do say is, what's in it for me,
Mm-hmm.
and that becomes a hard, a difficult thing, because it is by nature, it is a nonprofit. So I think it really takes a special kind of person who wants to make a difference,
Mm-hmm.
and defining what's in it for them, or the volunteer, or be it a board member, whatever it is. That's the hard part. I mean, there's the resume building aspect, there's the networking aspect, there's of course the opportunity to contribute to humanity and to your community, um, which really, I mean, that's huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, defining that is tough, and I think as a for-profit model, it's so much easier. It can be more easily defined, because it's like money, stock, investment. You know, yeah. Another thought was maybe a benefit corporation, and I know you have to go through like a certification process for it,
Mm-hmm.
but for companies that want to do social good but are still profitable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's two parts of the Benefit Corp and B Corp structure. One is that testing part where you have to do an evaluation once a year through the B Corp organization and get certified. It's kind of like organic certification, and you have to meet a certain level of the standards, which just to let everyone know, the standards are in several different categories, and you don't have to meet a minimum in any one of the categories. You have to meet an overall score. So you could be really horrible for the environment, but be really good for your employees and still pass, which I
Mm.
think is kind of, I don't like it. But that's kind of how it works. And then the other part of it is the actual incorporation structure, which is a for-profit legal incorporation structure, which is really just basically a regular company. It's like an LLC, or you could structure it as an S or C corp. I think you can do any of them. I don't know. It might depend state to state because it's a state to state thing. So I'm not sure what it is in California, but if they even have it in California, a lot of states don't. This is a new thing, but that's an actual incorporation structure, and I think in most states you have to remain benefit B Corp certified to be a benefit corporation, or you like lose your incorporation status and become a regular corporation or something. I need to look back into that. It's been a while since I've looked at how that works. But I think that's a part of it. But another part of it is just the legal thing. And it works just like any other organization. It's just that there's this legal protection that if the board of directors makes, or the management makes, a decision that is in service of the purpose rather than the service of profit, that the people who own stock in the company can't sue them. So that's the only difference. I can't sue you because you decided to do, something that's good for the purpose of the organization instead of making me more money. So, if anybody thinks that capitalism is not based on just generating a profit for stakeholders, look at the fact that you can be sued by fulfilling the purpose of your organization. That's what it is. And so you don't have to be, incorporated as a benefit corporation in order to get certified as a B Corp. I think, though, if you are incorporated as a benefit corporation, you need to keep getting certified every year, which is expensive and difficult.
Oh, yeah, the checklist, the assessment is pretty detailed, and it covers like your whole supply chain, all your vendors and your just everything.
Yeah.
But I believe it's free, and it gives a really good introduction to sorry, it's the neighbor's dog actually. I think she's walking. But yeah, it gives a good intro to that.
Well, it's free to get access to it, but to actually get certified, it's hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars. It's really expensive.
Oh, hundreds. Oh, you said it's thousands of dollars?
I don't. It depends on the size. Certification pricing. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, it's a scale based on your revenue, and the lowest it can be is $1,000.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I'm
cool.
Not sure how high they go, but whoa. Annual certification fee, if you make less than $150,000, it's $1,000 a year. If you make the highest it goes is $50,000 a year, and that's if you're making $1 billion a year.
Oh, wow.
Or nearly $1 billion, yeah.
Okay.
$1 billion plus is based on the size and complexity of the business. Anyway, it can be as much as $50,000 a year, but I don't think. I think it'd be $1,000 for you, but that's quite a bit for some little tiny operation. But that's about as much as it costs for organic certification as well.
Oh wow! Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar. So that's one way to go about it, and I think that it's cool to track all of those metrics and to make them transparent in that way, and reporting those publicly as part of the certification. But also, can you mute yourself while that dog's barking?
Oh yeah, you know what? I can run and close my back door because whenever she lets the dog out, it's kind of a lot. I'm sorry, it's my neighbor. Hold on.
And if you're in the audience, if anyone's in the audience, there is a chat room. You are fully welcome to say anything you want, ask questions, make suggestions, etc. All right. Let's get back to Isaiah. All right. Okay, now I can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted myself.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
Oh, that's better.
I apologize.
Much better.
Option.
Cool. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I think it's good to track all of those things and report on them. You don't have to be a B Corp to do that though. You can do it on your own. And a question to ask about becoming a B Corp is also, what are you going to get out of it? And from talking to people who have been involved in B Corps, there's not really a lot that organization has to offer other than a stamp to put on your products. They're not really doing a whole lot of marketing. They're not. I mean, they have some events where you get to network, but it's not really a whole lot that they offer as far as you'd think that the promise would be we'll help promote you as a benefit corporation, but from what I've heard, the smaller B Corps don't really get that much attention. So is it worth it? I don't know. So yeah, and then there's the idea of being a cooperative, or some other kind of cool structure like an encoded organization. That's a structure with holacracy, and that's just, it's cool, and it also is a structure that's just more democratic. And even in a nonprofit, is it democratic? Is it? Like, are you planning on being a democratic organization? It's not built into the structure. So yeah, I'm curious about that, and like how you see people interacting with it, and what kind of level of involvement you want people to have in decision making, I guess.
It's a lot to be considered. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
A lot to be considered. Yeah, those are like, so yeah, you got the nonprofit, you got the regular corp, you got the B Corp, you got the, there's so many avenues. I just think going with the simplest, easiest one is probably, going to be the best bet.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's already I think the for-profit structure is already in place for Earth. And the nonprofit structure is in place. I just need to complete it. I have to finish the 501 paperwork and the fiscal sponsorship in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely see it as two components.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's someone who says, oh, I have a room that, is perfect for this, it's 12 square feet or 24 square feet, whatever it is, maybe it's even 100 square feet, if it's something that is aligned with the mission, and that person wants to do this similar thing, they saw something that we did, they're like, oh, I want to try that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think there would kind of be, there's a point where it becomes more of like, let's say they want to do something like this for business purposes,
Mm-hmm.
then that consultation might go under the for-profit. I'm just not sure how to work it, because if it's in the community and it's supporting a community anyway, it is kind of in line with what the nonprofit is doing. So I don't know at what point.
Yeah, I think.
And the ethics behind it, are there ethical things? Are there legal considerations?
Yeah. Okay. So, here's what I'm thinking. If I'm just going to spit out what I think might work, or how I would want it to work if I was going to be involved in it. So, the only reason I would want to be a part of what you're doing and call it Earthkind is if you're doing something for me that makes it worth it, or I could just do anything I want on my own, right? So if you had a 501c3, it would be worth it for me to have a 501c3 that I could use to do educational programs or get grants or whatever. So that would be a valuable thing to have a connection to. Having a nonprofit that has a collection of information on regenerative agriculture and regenerative systems design, regenerative organizational structures, stuff like that, that would be providing that information for free to anyone who wants to use it for either nonprofit or for-profit uses, that would be useful. A suppository of information that maybe I could add to or take from, or both. Now, as far as a for-profit cooperative structure, I think how I would want to do it, if I was going to be involved, would actually be to incorporate my own local cooperative, using Earthkind's nonprofit as a kind of backer, as a supportive tool, and also maybe to help me find like grants to help me get going, or marketing or something like that. But I would want to incorporate my own cooperative here in Oklahoma that would just be for people who are actually going to be, receiving benefit directly from my operation. And then I would set up an operation where I was, doing what you're talking about doing. I'd probably want to rent a space. I'm looking at the house next door to the Earth Natural Foods, where I currently have a community garden. It's empty. They're remodeling it right now. If I could talk them into renting it to me, then I could start growing mushrooms and microgreens in that house, and also making Korean natural farming inputs. I could have a room in that house for teaching classes. I could have an office in that house for doing consulting. I could make that my base of operations. Plus there's the community garden out back, with space to also do outdoor classes and stuff. So, I would want to set that up and start growing. And the way I would do it is as a consumer and producer co-op, where people would pay in a membership fee to join. That might be like $50. You'd have to pay that in cash. But after that, there would be a monthly membership fee that people could work trade for. And so that might be like $100 to $150 a month, maybe as much as $200 a month. We'll say between $100 and $200 a month. And that would entitle them to a share of whatever it is I'm producing. I would not promise this much microgreens and this much mushrooms. I would say, I'm going to grow what I'm going to grow, and you're going to get one 1/20th of it. You're going to get like a share of whatever we're growing. I'm going to give you some of it, or as much as one person could eat, because it's for one person. So it's a one person's worth of food. So I'm going to give you as much mushrooms, microgreens, and produce as I have for one person each week. And you have to come pick it up. I'm not going to bring it to you. And you can come pick it up anytime. I'm going to put it in a bag with your name on it and stick it in the fridge. And you can come get it, right? Or it could be at the Earth next door, and I could just have them, give them a fee for holding it there and distributing it. They could also distribute any excess, sell any excess that I have. And so, having a natural grocery store right next door would be very useful, because any excess I have could be sold through them. And they could be, open all the time for people to come and get it, even if I'm not there at the other house. And then I would also allow those members to attend classes. So there would be like members only kind of workshops or classes that they could come, and I would be teaching them how to do these things. And that would be, I'm not sure exactly how I would do it. Maybe as a series, and in order to do work trade, maybe you have to complete the series so that you actually know what you're doing, and you aren't just going to screw up what I'm doing, because like teaching and managing work traders is a lot of work. It's like, I wouldn't want to pay them very much, because it's often more work to organize work traders than to just do it yourself. So, I'd probably only give them like $7.50 an hour to do, the work trade, just to work off their fees. So if it was, let's say, I did the math on this earlier today. If it was $100 and they were making $7.50 an hour, hold on. 750. Wait, no. Yeah, 750 times. I was thinking like 2 full days a month. 100. So if the membership fees were $120 a month, then they would have to work for 16 hours a month to work that off at $7.50 an hour. So that would be 2 full days, 2 8-hour days, or 4 hours a week. And I feel like 4 hours a week is a reasonable amount to be getting like a decent amount of food, you know?
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and
Because
so
microgreens are pricey.
yeah,
And mushrooms are pricey, and they're so healthy. I think that's very fair, and it gives an extra hand is so much to the farmer. The homesteader. Even this on a small scale, like every little bit of help is such a blessing to have. Even just to talk and share with someone, because the work is great, but it does get mundane sometimes.
Yeah, I would want help. I would want somebody there with me.
It's always better as a community.
Right. It's just, I'm saying like there's a big difference between having a helper there kind of shadowing me and helping me out versus like expecting somebody to show up when I'm not there and complete a task correctly.
That's hard.
Two different things.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. So the work traders would be more showing up and shadowing me and helping out for like 4 hours a week. Right. And it'd be probably an all or nothing thing. You don't get half off your fees, maybe half off, either half or full, So, sign up for a 4-hour shift. And, you can either do that twice a month or 4 times a month and get either half off or full off of your membership fees. And so I would offer that, and I would offer a weekly class. That would, maybe be like a series where you have to go through the whole thing at once. It might be a series that repeats. So if you miss a class, you can come back and do that same class the next time around. Like if it was like a 6 or 8 week class, you missed class number 3, come back the next time. You'd have to complete all of those classes before you would maybe be eligible to be an actual worker and be able to make more than just your membership fees. So if somebody completed the full course, then they would be trusted to be able to show up when I'm not there to complete tasks, and they would also be eligible to get paid more per hour and actually get paid in cash, to actually work, with the organization, to be an employee. Right. And so, yeah, there'd be like those 2 levels of membership. And then it would be a cooperative. So both of those levels of membership, people would have a vote, but they would have different, they'd vote for different things. So one thing you can do with a cooperative is have like certain seats on the board of directors that are only elected by certain classes of members. So I could have a seat on the board of directors that's a consumer representative, and then I could have a seat on the board that's a worker representative. And I could also,
and they advocate
for that group of people.
I get it. Yeah, that's cool.
And you can also decide then if the other seats are elected by everyone or if the other seats are only elected by some of them. So I mean, that's something like with the Oklahoma Food Co-op, when I was involved in that, it was a consumer and producer cooperative. And it was a little bit not perfect because there were, I was the vice president of producers, I was the producer rep, and there was a consumer rep, but all of the other seats were elected by both classes, and the consumers massively outnumbered the producers. So the consumers by default had more say than the producers, even though the producers were more reliant on the cooperative. They relied on it to make a living. Like they were a lot more like in need of the cooperative to function well than the consumers were, and yet the consumers had more say. And so in the same way with this cooperative, the people who work there and are actually like their livelihood depends on it should probably have more say. So I might want to make the, president and the treasurer and like those other seats be elected by just the workers and just give the consumers like one representative, or something like that. Or another thing that I've thought about doing is instead of having specific seats, like we're going to elect the treasurer now, who wants to be the treasurer? Instead of doing that, you could elect people to be on the board and then let the people on the board assign who's doing what. So you could have like 2 seats that are elected by the consumers and 3 seats that are elected by the workers. And then the people
cool.
on the board get to decide who does what.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? That might be a better way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I can actually ask about that. I'm doing a course. It's an incubator through a nonprofit called Mockingbird, and they exist to help other nonprofits to become like compliant and established and stuff. And it's a really good program. So I can ask some questions too about that. Any questions that we have?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the problem with a nonprofit is who elects that board? The board's like self-electing, right? Like there's no members. Who elects the board of a nonprofit?
I think originally the founders put together the founding
initially.
group or person, whoever it is, put together the initial one.
But after that, it's self-electing. The board of directors elects the board of directors. There is no say for anyone else.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so it's not really a very democratic structure compared to cooperative, where anybody who's a member, and it's clear who's a member and who's not, gets to elect them. Like in a nonprofit, the workers don't get a say in that. That's not built into the structure.
I wonder if so the cooperative model can still exist within the realm of a nonprofit and be.
The nonprofit could support the cooperative. And nonprofits do all the time. Cooperatives are in an interesting space. They tend to get more kind of leeway in a lot of ways from the government as far as like the ability to get grants. They pay taxes differently. You know, they're not treated exactly like nonprofits, but they're kind of almost in between. And it is just generally more acceptable for nonprofits to support cooperatives in various ways than for nonprofits to support other kind of companies. But, you know, I mean, it mainly be through like education, including like educating the public about cooperatives. So, you know, if Earthkind is out there educating the public, they go, oh, by the way, there are these things called cooperatives, and here are some of our cooperatives that we're working with. You know, like you could use the nonprofit to promote the cooperatives under the guise of education. And that people wouldn't blink an eye at that. You know, whereas if a nonprofit like advertised for Coca-Cola, you'd be like, what the hell, right? Even though like with the sponsorship thing, that still happens, but you can be more in a partnership than like just a sponsorship relationship.
Cool.
So yeah, I could see that working. And then let's see, had I finished my little spiel about how I would do it? And then the members would elect who's on the board. The workers would have more say than the consumers. I would get that $50 from each member before we started, and also I might ask the members to pay ahead of time for some of their membership fees. Like if they could afford it, I'd say, hey, can you actually give me 6 months or a year's worth of membership fees up front, because that would give me the capital to set up the operation.
That's ideal.
If the initial members, the ones who had money, I could just try to convince them to pay the membership fees ahead of time. And in a CSA, that's what happens. They try to convince the CSA members to give them a full year's worth ahead of time.
Oh, it's so helpful. Yeah, because you have the predictability.
You can buy all your seeds and your feed. That's the whole idea of a CSA, is to get the money ahead of time so that you have the money to pay for the operation. Not everyone has to do that, because some of what they're paying you for is labor, but you at least want half of it ahead of time so you can, spend it on your inputs.
Yeah, and I see that kind of playing out two ways. I see, a good amount of people being able to do that and paying the membership fees and the CSA dues up front. But then I see some that are left out and that can't afford it. So already. I'm kind of thinking about ways, you can subsidize that with the labor. I'm wondering if there's maybe an incentive to, you can pay your membership dues, or you can buy $50 worth of produce, and that, because then you're encouraging the person to buy X amount number of cost effective produce at a discount, and it's great quality,
Mm-hmm.
and encouraging them to be healthier, you're giving them the membership. Something creative like that encourages the
Yeah.
mission of wellness.
And I'm also curious about the ability to use food stamps with that structure, because I think that with food stamps, you can't pay for a membership. Like you
That
can't
makes
pay for a
sense. Yeah.
CSA membership with food stamps, but you can pay
Mhm.
for produce. So I wonder if there's an alternative structure where like they pay like $10 a month for their membership fees, and
Mhm.
then they get a certain price for the products.
Mhm.
And so then they
Mhm.
could use their uh, uh, EBT for that. And maybe they have to buy a certain minimum to maintain their membership or something. Like you have to buy at least
Yeah.
$100 worth to maintain your membership.
Yeah, and this is assuming that there's value in the produce, which I know there will be. You can't get, for example, um, somebody went to the grocery store the other day, and my family, I think my dad went or something, and showed me these microgreens that he
Mm-hmm.
bought, because we like microgreens. We all buy microgreens for each other. And,
Mm-hmm.
we love them on everything. But these were from Whole Foods, right? And they were organic, but they were already wilted and rotting in
Mm-hmm.
the sort of under everything. And it's like, you know, I'm not saying I want to compete with Whole Foods. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
that's not probably smart or possible at this
Mm-hmm.
stage. But I think that, yeah, if people are investing and they're getting something for their money, that like it's great quality,
Mm-hmm.
it's so fresh, it's organic or made with organic, it's consciously grown,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they're getting a great value. It's even a little
Mm-hmm.
bit cheaper than
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
grocery stores.
Yeah, I
Who
wonder.
wouldn't commit to that?
Yeah, maybe I could do like a $20 membership fee, and then you have to purchase at least $100 worth of produce per month in order to maintain it, and you get a special price. And then we also sell it, at the Earth, and it could be the exact same like bin of microgreens or whatnot that they're getting it from. But if they can present their membership card, then they get that discount.
Yeah, something like that.
And then
Yeah.
everybody else pays a little bit more. So you're paying a
Yeah.
membership fee to get a lower price. You can buy as much as you want at that lower price, and you also get access to some educational programs. And then we can also do some educational programs for everybody that are open to everyone, or those could be people have to pay for if you're not a member. It could be
Sure.
the same class.
Yeah, and the full price, and you can have a full price option. Somebody wants to just pay outright, or a full price plus a sponsorship. So you pay half of a membership for someone else, kind of pays it forward. So you're sponsoring someone,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of creates this. Well, I feel good that I'm sponsoring someone's wellness and education, because
Mm-hmm.
it's truly, for me, this is all life changing for me. If someone in my community had done this when I was in LA,
Mm-hmm.
long ago,
Mm-hmm.
before I knew about any of this, I would probably jump on it. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I see it as a kind of a really beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I could
I
use an
see that
alternative
happening.
currency. We could use an alternative currency. So
Now, I love
if
that
you're a
idea.
member, you get tokens that you can buy your produce with, and you get a better price buying the tokens than you do buying with cash.
I love that idea. Chuck E. Cheese, I think, is going out of business. I think they're all closing down. And there's going to be an abundance of Chuck E. Cheese tokens out there. What are they going to do with all those tokens? Like, you can't melt them down and make Chuck E. Cheese gold bars. I mean, you could. That would be kind of cool. But I'm kind of thinking, like, if we signed a value to that, and like, hey, we're a nonprofit, we're doing this alternative currency thing, we don't have a lot of money to get started, can you give us your coins and we can use those as currency? Like, I'm thinking, well, the thing is, yeah, but the thing is, people can go on eBay and just buy Chuck E. Cheese tokens.
Can you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But if somebody wants produce that bad, then hey, more power to you. You know. But yeah, I love the
Yeah.
alternative currency idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could do it either electronically using like Bitcoin kind of shit, or
I
you
want
could.
to get away from it. Digital.
You don't want to
I
do
don't like
digital.
the. Here's the
It
thing.
is.
I
It is
think
more
digital
complicated.
currencies are, yeah, I think they're powerful, and I think that they have their place in society nowadays. But I
Uh-huh.
don't like the push. I don't like my favorite coffee shop or my favorite restaurant or whatever, or some place that I just want to go. Like no cash accepted. We only accept digital. I feel like there needs to be more of a pushback away from that because there's still a lot of people out there, especially in, historically marginalized communities that are still unbanked and that, you know, do mostly things through cash or through, you know, debit card, reloading the debit card. So that's another component of wellness, I think, is getting people the understanding of um, financial wellness and literacy and um, having a bank account, working on your FICO score. Like, I feel like those are important things to know that I want to get into as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
in offering, like, okay, this is just a 1 week class. We're doing this thing on financial literacy, bring in an expert to answer questions and to present.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
then it opens up a lot of opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you just need a way to make the currency not easily replicable, which you could do by making it a little bit more handmade. So you could get like a stamp made and then
Hmm.
just get like a
Hmm.
special kind of paper, just order something that's out of the ordinary, and cut it into pieces and then just stamp it with a certain color of ink or something so you can tell a
Hmm.
certain kind of ink that's like shiny or something. So you can tell that if it was actually stamped with that ink or not, if it wasn't just photocopied. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like a colored like shiny ink or something, and just stamp them. Something like
Hmm.
that. That would look cool
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Something that kind of shows. I mean, I would love something that actually shows like a logo or something about the mission, in the future. But you're talking about investment now, and do you find a graphic designer? How do you, it's a whole process. But I
Yeah,
like the idea of
yeah,
that. I really
yeah.
do,
You
because
could
it
even
gives
have a
people,
custom stamp made.
yeah, and it
Uh-huh.
gives people something that they can hold. Like I like the
Yeah,
currency idea.
yeah, yeah. Or you
But
could
then
like
some nothing to
have,
keep up
or you
with.
could use screen printing and just have it made on a screen printing thing and just
Hmm.
use the screen like a handmade screen printer. Have you ever
Sure,
done that
sure.
before? You just put the ink over the screen.
Yeah,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, then it
really
wouldn't be
cool.
easily replicable. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. And I
Hmm.
mean, I know of platforms that you could set up a digital aspect of it as well to have an alternative way to do it. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Well, we might be going that way in the future, 100%. So, you know, might have to do it that way
Um,
one day.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, either way, I like the paper currency too, or coins.
Hmm.
I like that as well. That's cool. So okay, and you can also have like wooden coins made. Like there's
Hmm.
places you can have them like engraved or cut out.
Oh, yeah. Compostable,
Hmm.
maybe. That would be neat. Earth coins.
Earth coins. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, totally. Yeah, either that or like recycled paper or something. Okay, so yeah, that's what I would want to do. And I would just do that, but having some support, having a nonprofit to work with, um, that would be helpful. Being part of a network, not just doing it on my own,
Mhm.
would be helpful. Um, and so, yeah, I'm wondering what you think about that overall idea and how it compares to like what you would like to do there.
Um, as far as, sorry, I lost you. As far as the,
Well, like, would you want to set up that entire kind of a structure there for having a cooperative, having people be members and pay a membership fee and be able to work that off and be able to work there? Like, would you want to set up that entire system there, or are you just interested in setting up your nonprofit and supporting other people to do that kind of thing?
Oh no, I love the idea of a co-op. I really do. And it's kind of what was happening in Oregon, but it was just so loosely put together because the structure is really the hardest part, is structuring it and having this conversation. Whereas, when you're growing it, you can't do it all, and like you're trying to grow it and pack it, preserve it, get it out, and then work on your business stuff too. It's like, yeah. So I've always loved the co-op model. I think it's brilliant. And I think it really impacts community. It brings people together, and like, that's what we need nowadays. Even if it's virtually, it's a virtual co-op. We have to observe all the social distancing rules and things like that. But yeah, it's great. And there's land here to facilitate that. Whatever, even if it's just one or two low input crops, like we talked about last time, like a food forest kind of thing. There's lots of land and opportunity like everywhere for that.
Right. So even if you just keep taking on more members, maybe you don't have
mic drop. Sorry. Your mic dropped a little bit.
Fix it. There we go.
There we go.
I had it up and ready to go. Yeah, I mean that's one like curiosity I had, was like, okay, well, what happens when I get more members than I can produce for in that house or the garden? Yeah, like taking on more land, it's like, okay, now I've got more work traders. Now we can go off to another property and start, growing stuff
Absolutely.
there. Now we can go start a food forest, maybe just in somebody's front yard,
Absolutely. We get one established, and that is the model for all the others. And if we reach a point where we need to scale, we simply send out an email blast, and it's like, hey, Earth people, hey, Earth gang, whatever you want, whatever we call it, yeah, hey, Earthlings, it's time to expand. Does somebody have a 50 square foot room that we could come in and do this, like replicate this? And by that time, we've already got like kind of a YouTube thing going on. Maybe people kind of already know what the setup looks like and what it's providing for the community. And we keep those numbers, we keep those stats on the yields and how it's helping people and stuff. And yeah, I see it. I see it as very scalable, and it's small scale, but it's scalable to something bigger. Yeah, because once you get 5 locations like this, it could actually be quite the impact, right?
Okay. So starting out right there with what you have, you've got your room in your house and you've got some garden spaces available. Do you want to start recruiting members to be a part of this? Like how would you like to move forward?
I do. I always get stuck on the delivery. I feel like people are just bombarded with texts and emails. So I'm trying to, what I'm really working on right now is getting the website launched. There's still like some images and some photos that I need to get, some good quality sort of images, and just wrap up some content and things. But yeah, I want to kind of lay that foundation of at least a basic brand and then get it up and running so that I know, because I know there's going to be mistakes. Like, even though they're microgreens, whatever, they can be really fragile. Something's going to go wrong. Something's going to not,
Yeah, well, that's why I was looking at the membership model, because I'm not selling the product. I'm selling a membership.
And then it will say first deliveries or first pickups will commence on this month around this date.
It could be, or you could start delivering, classes and workshops, on that in the outdoor area that you have, and start growing stuff outside with those people. And you had talked about stuff like, putting dirt in pots and making potted plants. Like, that could be something that you could offer your first members. So, as long as you're offering them something, and maybe they can be involved in deciding what that is. Be like, hey, I've got these
Mm-hmm.
resources. What do you want? Come out. I've got seeds. Like, let's plant some stuff. Do you want it planted in a pot so you can take it home? Do you want to plant it here and come back and harvest it when it's ready? You're just selling a membership in the farm,
Yeah.
and then they're involved in the farming,
Mm-hmm.
and they get a
Yeah,
share of what's produced.
So the membership would be great, like especially for people who have the ability to pay, and who don't need subsidies, because we need funding right now. That's the most important thing. That's the reason why there's an abundance of soil and mulch out there. And I've got to have friends come over with totes, and we use large plastic bins and stuff, fill it up, put it in a truck, drive it around the corner, bring it closer to the house. Like, that's a lot of work. So to get that actually scooped with, have somebody come out with a bobcat or whatever it is, it's going to be around $600. But if it's but that $600 can go a very long way.
Well, if you're charging a $50 membership fee just to join initially, then you need 12 members to come up with $600.
And that will put everything in its right place. So if we have 2 or 3 people, I think even 4, who want to get going with converting their backyards, it would just be a matter of having a plan, because then we'd have the soil and the mulch all in the right place, and it would be ready to go. So then it would be possible to really forecast what the season will be delivering in terms of finished product, produce, things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the membership idea is great.
Okay. And I do want to say, like, you don't have to be a cooperative to have a membership, but that initial investment, that $50 or however much for people to initially join, that only makes sense if they are actually purchasing a share in a for-profit. Like if you're just a nonprofit, then you'd be asking for a donation. Do you want to donate $50? And you can still have a membership that people are paying for. Just do that under the nonprofit. You don't have to have a cooperative to do this. It's just you gain that ownership aspect.
Yeah, I definitely like the co-op model. So I wonder if they can be interchanged, like, tax deductible donation for your co-op membership.
No, it would be purchasing.
Can't do that. Oh, you're purchasing. Okay.
Yeah, and you would actually have to be able to refund that if they leave, though.
If they leave during the year?
If they leave ever. It's a one-time $50 purchase of a share, and then if they leave, they would get that back. You wouldn't have to pay it back to them immediately, but you would owe them that $50 back.
Oh, I see. So the 50 that they're investing is allowing to basically get everything up and running. And then they're paying a monthly for produce, or they're paying for their produce at a discount at a community rate. But they still, after a year, 2 years, however long it is, that's how co-ops work. They get the membership fee back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. That's a good upsell. I mean, that sounds good to me on the consumer side.
Yeah. The value stays the same. I mean, that's one benefit. It's different with a cooperative than a corporation. With a corporation, the value of that fluctuates with the market. So you might pay $50, but then all of a sudden it's worth $150, right? If you resold it.
Oh, I get it.
But with a co-op, it stays the same.
Okay.
It's always $50.
It's like if the shares went up, if the value of the stock went up, then is that how it works?
Yeah, the non-voting shares stay the same. Now you can sell additional shares, additional investment shares that don't give someone any more voting power, and the value of those can go up and down. So like Organic Valley, they sell membership shares just to their farmers, but then anybody can buy investment shares and sell them, and it's a market, whatever, but those people don't have any voting power. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's how that works. Okay. Well, to keep going with where we're at right now, we don't have to decide for sure if it's a nonprofit or a cooperative. I'm just leaving that open because you could do it either way for sure. But I want to get back to trying to figure out the money situation. So you've already didn't you say you've already spent $900? Have you spent any more since then?
Roughly, yeah. No, that's about it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And you needed $600 to move dirt. And you also need some money to buy like drip irrigation and wheelbarrows and pots and stuff if you're going to do stuff outside. And then your possible, I'm going back up through the questions here because the possible investment sources and revenue streams I want to add to this because all we had was $25 per pound for cut microgreens. Oops, I'm using the wrong thing. Microgreens and $5 to $10 a tray.
I think it was 20.
We were talking about individual servings.
I see.
The whole tray was more than that. Yeah, how much was it for a full tray?
I think I'd said 20.
Okay. But another possible source would be a $50 initial donation or membership share.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could do somewhere around $100 per month membership fee for guaranteed products. Mm-hmm. Which you could, either just say I'm going to give you a box like a CSA share, or I'm going to give you these tokens that you can trade in. Mm-hmm. When you want it. I kind of like the token idea because, like, what if somebody's going to be out of town for 3 weeks? And so they don't need them. They can hold on to those tokens and use them later. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that. But the downside of that is, though, what if, a bunch of people are out of town and you end up with a bunch of microgreens and mushrooms that go bad? You don't have that guaranteed turnover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm looking at some of the smaller, I think this says, I'm trying to read it, I think it's 1.75 ounces in the grocery stores going for $4 so almost $4 for almost 2 ounces.
For microgreens?
Mm-hmm.
2 ounces, you said?
Yeah, it looks like 1.75.
Okay.
So that comes to about $31 a pound at that price. So I think a whole tray. Now the weight on the trays is that's going to vary by the type of microgreen. So I guess it would be good to just do a couple of trial runs and see what the different types are yielding. Mm-hmm. So that can kind of, the pound equivalent can be calculated. Because I think that's going to be, the numbers are going to be important, right? Because it has to be regenerative. And if it gets to a certain amount, let's say a lot of people come in, you kind of have to know if the prices are sustaining the whole, the expansion, like.
Yeah, I mean, another way you could think about it is like you just need enough money coming in for membership fees to sustain your operation and give you the income you need. And then maybe you just show up at the garden, at the community garden. What is going on? Something is trying to ring on my phone. Oops, just a second. I'm trying to fix this. Oh, sorry.
No worries.
I accidentally left my my stupid can't talk Gmail open. Mm. And when my phone rings with my Gmail open, that happens. Okay. What are we talking about?
Oh,
Oh yeah, just
pricing.
showing up at the garden with a couple of trays, big trays, and some bags, some paper bags, and just harvest your own. Here you go.
Mm,
Take it home. Take home as much as you want. Whoever shows up, here's 2 trays. Take home as much as you want.
that makes sense.
Because you're a member. If you're going to show up when I ask you to show up, you get some.
Yeah.
If you don't show up, you don't get any. Something
Hmm.
like that. Like, make people work. Because, with a community organization, I mean, you're talking about doing a nonprofit. You're talking about doing some sort of membership organization. With that, you don't want people treating you like an employee. You don't want people treating you like shit, like, give me what I
Yeah.
want. I paid you. You want people
Hmm.
treating you like we're part of the same team.
Right. This
You
for
know?
a bigger mission.
Yeah, and so
It's
they need to
to reach
do
others.
something. They can't just like expect you to do all the work, like you
Hmm.
would with a regular company.
Sure.
Like you're not the Marriott hotel, you know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You see what I
Totally.
say? Like, so I'd say, to whatever extent, make them work for it. Make them come and get it. Make them, participate. Um, and then beyond that you can make special you can maybe go above and beyond just for the people who need it. Maybe if somebody is struggling, if somebody is not able to come and get it and they have a good reason, then you could show up and bring it to them. But I think having the default be that they have to do something would be the best.
Yeah. And the more we talk about this, I feel like getting those other racks going, but it is an investment. So I want to, get the other two, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Well,
really
I'd like
hoping
you to
there's
test this. Do this as a minimum
absolutely,
viable product. Try to find
absolutely.
3 members,
Hmm.
and you could just do it through the nonprofit for now. Let's not worry about incorporating a cooperative. That's a big pain in the ass. Just for now,
Mm.
just do it through your nonprofit. Ask for donations. Say, hey, I'm going to be growing microgreens. Would you like to get some every week? And
Hmm.
see if you can get people to pay you a membership to get those microgreens, and just say, hey, I'm just going to try this for 3 months.
Hmm. Hmm.
I want you to see if you can
Cool.
do that, because you're about to have microgreens, right? So you
Absolutely.
need people who will
Yeah.
eat them. So just ask your
Right.
friends and family,
Other
ask
than
people in
me.
your neighborhood. Exactly. Just try to sign some people up and see if it works.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
you
Yeah,
can
I'm
see
gonna
if
put
they'll show up.
together. Yeah, I'll get on like Canva or something, or I think it's called Canvas. I've been wanting to check it out more. You can design like anything on there from your phone, from your computer. It's super easy, like on their
Mm-hmm.
website. So I was thinking of maybe even doing like a membership or something, because then they watermark everything. But the free version is everything's kind of watermarked, but it really doesn't matter. So I'm thinking of doing like a little, like a postcard or a flyer that
Mm-hmm.
says, that'll go out within like just a half-mile radius,
Mm-hmm.
that'll just,
Canva, yeah.
yeah, well, a half-mile radius, that might be a ton of people. That
Mm-hmm.
might be more, we might get more interest than,
Yeah, just do your
than is
neighborhood.
sustainable.
And especially if
Yeah,
you want
we'll
people
just
to
do
come
that.
show up, just be like, hey, I live right there, just
Hmm.
or at the garden location, wherever you want people to meet you to get the product at a certain time or
Hmm.
set of times, and have that be when you're going to be there anyway, gardening.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yay.
that'll work. Yeah, just need to figure out. I would love something where somebody pays like a higher membership fee or something to get, like how the CSAs work, right? So that you might pay like 500 or something for 2 months, but you're going to get these boxes of all this produce, and that eventually that's kind of where I'd love to see it go. You
Mm-hmm.
know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The more you add to it, and again, that's another
Mm-hmm.
good reason to have it be the token method, because they can just pay for more
Mm-hmm.
tokens
Mm-hmm.
and get more produce. And you would only have to
Mm-hmm.
have one membership maybe per family instead of one membership per person that way.
Right. Right. Yeah. And especially, lately there's been a lot of studies. There's been previously there's been a lot of studies, but lately I've been seeing some buzz. I need to pull up the email and find it, but it was about broccoli, specifically broccoli microgreens. Yeah, it was called broccoli sprouts. So maybe he's talking about sprouts and not microgreens, but basically when they're younger, the broccoli. This looks like it's talking about it as a sprout, but it's talking about sulforaphane. And how it's
it's also in mustard. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to show you. See?
Oh wow, that's so cool.
This is what I was
like
able
a chia
to pull
pet.
Out. Yes. Yeah. Well, I also have one with wheatgrass for my cat.
That's so beautiful.
She's been eating it too. My cat loves it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is
that's
for
so
me.
Cool.
They're gonna when I get up about that high, I'll cut it off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those
it's
are
too bad they don't grow back.
Right. But that's okay. I've got plenty of seeds. And yeah, they both have sulforaphane.
Very nice. Very nice.
There's a really good talk about that from Rhonda Patrick on her website, Found My Fitness.
Rhonda Patrick, okay.
Yeah, she's got a really good. If you're into nutrition, you should check her out.
Absolutely, yeah, I'd love to.
But yeah sulforaphane is it takes an enzyme to convert it, and when you cook brassicas, it destroys the enzyme, so you have to eat it raw. You can add more into it by adding. Is it? Anyway, I don't remember everything she said, but mustard seed. If you just ground up fresh mustard seed and add it to your food, add it to your brassicas, if you cooked broccoli, then you could just put a little fresh mustard seed on after you cook it, and that'll add back that enzyme that is needed to get the nutrients out of it.
That's so cool. So you could totally just garnish something with that, and then have a microgreen broccoli or mustard microgreens on top of it, and you kind of upgraded this super meal.
Yeah, or use them instead. Yeah, it's just that enzyme is in the raw and not in the cooked. Yeah.
Nice. So healthy.
Awesome. Let's see. What time did we start? Have we gone over? I'm not even watching the clock. I have no idea.
We're almost at 11:43 my time, so we're almost at 12.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we kind of went over a little bit.
Did we? Hold on. Oh yeah, we're totally over time. We're just talking.
It always happens that way.
Okay, we got somewhere, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And the last three, especially the last three, has brought so much clarity. The last few calls. So.
Yeah.
It's all been
Yeah, to just fill in what we have talked about really quick. To calculate the minimum income that you need to cover your expenses, if you are able to raise at least $50 per person, we're looking at you need more than just the $6 for the moving the dirt. Would you want to cover your money that you've already spent, the $900, or just want to go with?
I'd like to see that. I would. That would be great. That would totally, because it would kind of make me, it's more fiscally responsible, I feel like, especially to the donors. I think it would look really good to, hey, look, we did this and we got it back. And it just looks really, really good to be able to say that,
Yeah, we're looking at 30 members, which sounds like a good number.
It does. It sounds like, sounds like we need some.
That would cover the $900 that you already spent, and it would cover the $600 to get started. And then from then on, you can start just covering that out of the membership fees, the expenses. And then, so we were talking about somewhere around $100, maybe $100 minimum per month. For membership fees, and then they could buy more tokens after that. You figure out how much those tokens are worth. I just make it some multiple of how much your smallest product is going to cost. So if your smallest product is, 1.5 ounces of microgreens, and that's going to cost, $4 or whatever, then make it $2 as a token something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then so yeah, you need about which hold on, doing the math. 30 members, and then if it was 30 members, that would be $3,000 a month you'd be bringing in.
Nice.
And do you think that would be enough to sustain your indoor operation?
Yeah, I think that would be a stellar goal to accomplish, like the first 6 months, because that would just, with that, we could just double very quickly, and go on to the next 30 people. And yeah, that would provide a huge impact.
Okay, cool. We answered that question then. And then, okay, we'll do the next time. But we figured out something.
Absolutely.
Yay.
I'm pumped. Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you. I'm excited too. And I mean, that little idea that I talked through, I get excited about ideas like this all the time. So I'm not going to try to get too attached to it, but I am going to talk to Richard and see what he's doing with that house, because that would be really awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's great.
It would be perfect. And it's the perfect location, because anywhere else that I would do it probably wouldn't work, honestly.
Yeah.
If I just had a little shop on Main Street, I don't think anyone would go there.
No.
But being right next door to the health food store where there's already a community garden, I think I could
huge.
make that work. Mm-hmm.
That's huge. Mm-hmm. And I'm less than a mile away from the only health food store that offers really anything healthy in a crazy radius. I'll have to show you more about that. Take a video for you soon, because I'm going to do some reaching out to them about all this. And get these.
Yeah, do send me more info. Yeah. You're going to send me some photos. Send me that info on how much you've spent on what so far. Because I haven't seen any photos or even a diagram of like where these properties are. It's kind of it feels a little funny. So
I'll get you all that. Yeah, we'll cover all that on the next one for sure.
Awesome. Great.
Okay.
So thank you very much. Right. Thank you, everyone who's watching.
Thank you.
And join us next time on Twitch. The schedule's on Twitch as well as on my website, Regenerative Dynamics, and regenerativedynamics.com, and all that's linked below. And we'll see you next time. Okay. Thanks. Bye.